Baguette. Hi guys, today we're gonna be making some French style baguette for you, and if you like you can subscribe and join us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, whatever you like, so you can learn more about us and find more recipes. Today, as I said, we're going to be making some beautiful French style baguette, and we will have Joyce. She's an excellent baker. She will guide us through how we do it. Okay, what we need is for this recipe is French style flour, preferably organic, or you could use all-purpose flour. We're gonna be needing salt, yeast, and water. It's nice and simple recipe, but it's delicious.
Hi, we're going to start making the baguettes, and what you do first is put 4.5 cups of flour or 554 grams. And I use, as I said, the French style flour, which is consisting of organic hard red wheat flour, and it's important, organic malted barley flour, which gives it the crispiness and the sweetness, natural sweetness. So 554 grams, and I use a scale because that's the most more accurate. Okay, now we're using the yeast, and it's 3 teaspoons of instant yeast. Okay, and also 2 1/4 teaspoons of salt. Now I'm stirring the flour, the yeast, and the salt together, and I'm going to add 1.5 cups of warm water and stir it as I go along. And what you do then is, after you stir this, it's better to have a wetter dough than a drier dough. So I add a little at a time, and you'll notice that the water says 1.5 cups to 1 3/4 cups, and the reason for that is, depending on the time of year and the humidity, it can take more or less, because the flour may have absorbed some liquid, or it may be drier than normal. So you start with the lower number of water that's listed, and you can work it in. Then you let this rest for 30 minutes, and the reason for that is that you can then see how much water is absorbed and what you may need to add. So we'll leave this for 30 minutes, and then the next step will be kneading the dough. Okay, so this is mixed, and I'm going to be leaving this. You can see the consistency of it, but at this point it's sticky, and we have to see if we have to, after it rests for 30 minutes, you'll see if it needs any additional flour or water. So we'll let this stick, we'll let this rest for 30 minutes, and this is called the autolyse, which is just means resting the dough, and it absorbs, thoroughly absorbs the water, so you can tell if you need more water or more flour. And then we'll knead the dough. Okay, and what I do is I cover it. You can either use plastic wrap, or in this case I use a damp dish towel, and you just cover it for 30 minutes and then come back and knead it.
So what we're doing now?
Oh, I'm just pushing down the flour, and I'm looking. This is about maybe halfway through the kneading process, and I did add like a tablespoon of flour. You just have to learn by experience. Then you see this. I know the baguette flour is supposed to be a wettish dough. But how wet, I mean, you have to experience it yourself and see what holds together, because you want to develop enough gluten. Okay, so this is the end of the kneading time, and as you can see, I just took the flour off the dough hook, and it's pretty sticky, but I'm going to try to use the minimum amount of flour that I can to get it into this bowl where it's going to rise. And I use the plastic bowl, but you can use any bowl. The reason I use this is I can see at a glance how much it's risen. Okay, I'm using a plastic scraper to get and you can see the gluten development. That's what makes it very sticky. So you know it's been kneaded enough when it does that. And as I said, I'm using this tool, but you can use your hands, you can use a spatula, whatever works for you. But I like this because it helps me get into all the crevices and turns. So after 1.5 hours, which it stays in this bowl, basically till it doubles. If your room is warmer, it might be sooner, but it usually takes me about 1.5 hours. I check it after an hour and see how it's coming along, and we'll check back. And I just, dampen my hands to get any last little bits of dough off, and I just, make it even in the pot so I can tell what. Okay, so what I'm going to do is it's in this plastic container. I'm going to cover it with a damp towel again, and about 1.5 hours later it should be doubled in bulk. Now you may be tempted to put it into a prover to let rise your dough, but I don't. I keep it at room temperature, and I think that develops more flavor. But you can do what you want. Some people do use a proofing oven. Okay, it's about 1.5 hours later, and as you see, you can look at the dough. It smells beautiful, and it's very light. You can see it's much easier to work with than it was before, but I do need to put a little flour in my hand. Just very little. You don't need much, just so you can take the dough out, and you put it down, and what you do is you just turn it a few times onto itself, and basically what you're doing is redistributing the dough. This is quite sticky still, so you just put a little, and you can use the bench press. Hold on. All right, so this is easier to work with sometimes with a sticky dough, but as I said, you do want a wettish dough for baguettes. And basically what I said is you're redistributing the dough. So after you do this for a few times, you can put this back in your container and let it rise for another 1.5 hours. Okay. We'll see you in 1.5 hours. And I cover it again. Hi, it's 1.5 hours later, so I'm just putting a little oil. I'm using a baguette pan, and you just want to lightly oil it, because even though it's non-stick, you don't want it to stick in any spots. So I just very, very lightly rub it with oil. And again, this is just to stop it from sticking. And you can also use a baking tray with parchment paper. That's good. And I like this because it gets the heat underneath. See, it's got little holes in it. And this is about 16 inches long, so that's as long as you want the baguettes. Okay, now what we're going to do, you can see the dough has risen nicely. It's like double. And what we're going to do is put it in this pan. We're going to divide it into threes, and 16 inches long each. And this pan is about 16 inches long, so it's going to be the length of the pan. And what we're going to do is use a scale, because that way you get in even measure. But you can do it by eye. There's nothing wrong with that. But as we want to be as accurate as we can, and you can see the dough comes out nicely. It probably will need a little bit of flour to work with to divide. Okay, I put a little flour just to be able to move it on the bench. And I'm going to put it shape it into a rectangle so I can cut it into threes. And we'll see. We'll see how it does. And we'll see how even it is. Okay, that's 12 3/4 ounces. Twelve 1/8 ounces. That's not bad. And only 10 ounces. So I think I need to take a little from here. $11 1/8. $11 5/8. Doesn't have to be exact, but it's good to if they're close. 12 1/8. Take a little from here.
I think they're pretty close.
Yeah, now
I think,
it's good.
yeah.
This is 11 7/8.
Yeah.
I think they're close enough.
Yeah, okay.
So now we'll just put the scale away. I need a little more room here, and we're going to shape them to fit them in the pan. Okay, so gradually you can shape the dough, and you sort of stretch it. And as I said, I'm trying to get it to like 16 inches or so. Alright, so you wait in between, because the dough doesn't always stretch. And then what I do is I turn it and pinch it like this, and turn it and pinch it like this. And this gives it structure and shape. So you do that a while, and put a little more flour so you can work it. Just a little flour, you don't want too much. So now it's nice and pliable, and I'm going to put it in the tin.
Is it 16 inches already?
It will be when I get it in here. And you continue to shape it when you put it in. And we're going to be leaving this in the pan for about 1 hour, covered, and it will fill in. Okay, so we made the loaves and we put them in the pan. Now what you do is you cover it, and you let it rise for about an hour. And you can use, we're using this cover. You can also use plastic wrap, but if you do use plastic wrap, you really should oil one side of it because the dough may stick to the saran wrap. But this is high enough so that we don't have that problem. Okay, so what I'm doing now is that I'm putting warm water on the baguettes, and now I take a razor and I slash it, and you have to do it quickly. You don't drag it. You can also use a knife if you want. And what you do, you can also use a lame, which is a special, it's got a handle on it, and it's basically a razor type thing. So now what I'm going to do, put this in the preheated 450 degree oven, and I shut the door right away after I get it in. Then I get a half cup of water, warm water, and I put it on the bottom rack, which has a pan that's been heating along with the oven.
So you're adding hot water.
That's an extra insurance. You know, if you want to, you have a preheated pan when you're heating the oven, and then you put like a half cup of water in, so it gives more steam.
You cook it for about 25 minutes, right?
Yeah, you check it and you see what the temperature is, and you might have to do it longer. You want a dark golden color, brown color. So you just check it, and the internal temperature is not as important because it won't rise beyond 212. So you just aim for a dark golden brown color.
What do you think?
I'm gonna go a little longer, like 3.
And what do you think? This 28 minutes.
Yeah, maybe I'll go 2 more minutes.
All right.
Done?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that looks good.
All right.
So it was about...
We baked it for 30 minutes, right?
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. They
Now
look
you shut the oven,
right.
and you put the loaves back in. What you do now is when they're done baking, you shut the oven, and you put them back in, and you leave the oven door open, ajar, about 2 inches. And this gives you additional crispiness.
That's after you shut off the heat, right?
Yes, yeah, the heat's off. So you leave them here till they cool.
Okay, let's try it. Wow, nice and crisp. Let me see that.
It looks good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crunchy.
Okay, guys, I hope you like this video, and check out the written recipe for more info, and hopefully you guys do it, and let us know. Bye for now.